that rhythm.
That's all coming up on Thumb Bandits. Come on! Oh.
And welcome to Thumb Bandits and another gaming white-knuckle ride.
On tonight's show, we're saying nanu nanu to Dr. Spock with Star Wars Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2 on the GameCube.
We get our hands on some of the most gorgeous games machines on the planet.
We've got the latest news on Final Fantasy X.
And we're taking the piss out of piss artists. Well, they're just artists, actually. But before all that, Iain carves up some white powder and prepares for his après-ski with Amped on the Xbox.
Thank God for computer games. Because of them, it means twats like me get to do really cool things without having to hang out with the wankers that usually do them. The snowboarding is a prime example. It looks so exciting and exhilarating, yet every boarder in the world is an arrogant idiot who can only say, dude. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. That's a fact. But Amped on the Xbox is perfect for the indoor sportsman. All the fun of the fair without the fear of the glue-sniffing teenager.
Pull twists in midair, jump over buildings and do other fun things. It's all here. But the Xbox manages to pull a few tricks of its own which put the other consoles to shame.
The first being the huge courses. The first couple start out small, but move on from there and you can go pretty much anywhere.
There is a huge amount of space to cover and explore, and eventually, as you climb the mountain, the tracks begin to link up. And while you're pulling one off behind a tree, check out the amazing view. The backgrounds on Amped are as detailed as you can get. You're also encouraged to impress the media. Photographers, filmmakers and agents are all out on the slopes watching for fresh young talent. Have a jostle in front of a camera and you could be signed up to an exclusive sponsorship deal, unlocking tracks in the process. Another trick exclusive to the Xbox is the inclusion of 200 songs on the soundtrack. Pick from 6 genres, such as punk and Peter Andre, and let the game be your DJ. However, if none of the tunes are to your liking, then do what I did and rip Frank Zappa's one-size-fits-all CD to the hard drive and have that blasting out.
My only major problem with this otherwise brilliant game is the lack of a really good racing mode. Sure, 4 players pretty cool, but I don't know 3 other people, so I kind of miss racing against the computer.
The lack of other competitors makes the game feel slightly slower than other boarding titles, but this difference is its selling point. It's a stunt sim, not a racer.
If the Xbox can keep releasing titles like Halo and Amped, then I think it won't be long until we're seeing the death of the PS2. That'll learn them.
Back in the old days, pirates only had one eye, one leg, and a pile of parrot poo in their shoulder to worry about.
Yeah, that's right, Alex. But now, in the 21st century, they've got a whole host of new headaches.
As recent anti-piracy thrust Operation Buccaneer has demonstrated, even the saltiest of high-tech rogues are being caught by the Jolly Rogers.
Due to a number of high-profile raids, many hackers have gone underground. But flying in the face of adversity, British software developers Introversions are releasing the world's first hacker sim, Uplink. Uplink challenges hackers to crack into as many fake computer systems as possible. Hackers are given missions that are posted on the Uplink Corporation's database and range from altering bank accounts to changing social security information.
But if any would-be hackers are thinking of taking their skills to the real world, then be warned.
The FBI are putting the finishing touches to its Magic Lantern technology that can record your every online keystroke. So games like Uplink may be the last place for hackers to ply their trade.
This week, our review jury of 3 Good Men and True are looking at tennis titles. Will they do a Sampras and serve an ace, or will they be more like Henman? Shit.
Our umpires are Scott, the Whispering Games designer, Jackie, the Gobby Games fan, and Paul, who I think may be a ball boy.
Oh, fucking hell.
Let's begin.
First serve goes to Cosmic Smash on the Dreamcast. Not so much tennis, more psychedelic Arkanoid mixed with a bit of breakout. Now, if that sounds as confusing as Greg Rosetsky's claim to be British, don't worry. It's a simple game with striking graphics where you have to smash balls against blocks to escape. Too simplistic? Time to be serious, dude. Is it in or is it out?
Would you say this game was unique, or does it remind you of anything else?
Oh, it reminds me of lots of things. Pong, for starters, a bit of virtua tennis in there, and it's a bit like, well, squash and pinball as well.
How does it play?
Well, it's a tried and tested gameplay genre. It's like Pong, like Arkanoid. So it's given the developers like freedom to do what they want with the graphics. Looks really cool. I mean, they've gone for that retro, electro, Tron versus MTV look, which really, really works.
It's the kind of game for maybe your die-hard console fans only, who like to buy like every quirky thing that comes out, like Vib Ribbon or Rez, something like that.
Well, I've got Vib Ribbon and Rez. What are you saying?
Well, no, that's okay. The problem with this game is Vib Ribbon, as you know, is based on a sort of innovative idea, and it works. Rez, great fun. This is Pong and nothing more. Pong with fancy graphics.
So you're still reeling from the tremendous Henman-Sampras upset. Well, I know. I understand. But here's your chance to rewrite history and get over it with Tennis Master Series on the PC. With full tournament mode, exhibition mode, and a LAN play option, your players sport the latest motion capture technology, and the little court details will make you reach for a pins and lemonade. But was it convincing enough for our jury?
I didn't think I would like this game, Alex, but it turned out to be really good. The way it looks is enough to draw me in, to make me play it for longer. I mean, the way the guys move around the court's fantastic. The motion capture is so good, you can read their body language.
I thought I was going to hate it, but after playing for a while, I kind of got into it. I found the controls a bit clumsy, though. Doubles made it a wee bit easier because the computer helps a bit with the running back and forward, so you can concentrate on your hitting.
It's one for the tennis purists because all the details are there. It's nice. You've got nice sound and the ball bounces, sound of the wind, and it's a real sort of somber tennis commentators.
15 love.
The final set of this metaphorical tennis match will be played by centre court.
This PS2 title boasts 8 characters, 4 different court surfaces, as well as a mighty array of shots. You can select the length of a game and play in tournaments or single exhibition matches. With up to 4 human players involved in a doubles match, this can be a tense game, unless your partner is my mate Steve, who is rubbish. But does the lack of any real tennis stars make this a poor second to Virtua Tennis?
This comes nowhere near Virtua Tennis. It has set the standard, basically. It had the sort of realism and a subtlety of control, which this doesn't have at all.
And that's from Paul, who works in a game shop, so top advice there. Was this game any good?
I didn't enjoy it that much, Ian. I mean, I was looking at something extra you'd expect from a PS2 game. I mean, things like the players suffer from the Scooby-Doo walk effect, with their feet slide around all over the court, which just spoils it for me.
Now, these aren't real tennis players either, are they?
They're not, no, it's a computer game, so...
No, I don't mean real tennis players as they've been captured and put in a tiny box. I mean people like Henman and all that, their names.
I've got you now. No, they look more like, extras from Mortal Kombat to me. They've got shorts with flames on and big jaws and hard hair.
It's easy to play, mostly down to the controls. They just seem to be much easier to get the hang of, and the reactions on screen are much faster than the PC game. But I didn't enjoy it as much. I didn't find it as satisfying.
Well, that's tennis, but the results are in, and it appears the umpires are about to strike back. In third place, it's Cosmic Smash, because...
It's quirky, but crap.
Second place goes to centre court, because...
It's a bit of a lane call, this one.
But this week's winner is Tennis Masters, and I say because...
It's the best of this lot, but it ain't the Masters.
So there you go, tennis. It's not a load of old balls.
Right, Final Fantasy is the Japanese role-playing series that's transported countless computer fanciers into the weird world of electronic obsession. Possibly the most inaccurate title in history, the series has spawned 8 incarnations in the UK, as well as The Spirits Within, the misjudged but exceptionally animated film. And the good news is, number 10 is coming to the UK soon. The only thing that ties them all together is how they deal with honor, friendship, and saving the world. Number 10, for example, entertains itself with an enlightened dude attempting to save his homeland from something called sin. Very deep, very Japanese. And as far as the UK is concerned, very late. Fantasy X has been out in Japan for 8 months. So what's with the Western holdup? Well, the FF10 team was also working on the film and spent most of its time creating the incredible cutscenes of the game. The actual gameplay was allegedly farmed out to another company, and schedules suffered for it. Subsequently, the conversion for us poor PAL TV users has taken the big old backseat. On the bright side, the US reviews are good, and Final Fantasy X is the very first PlayStation 2 game to reach the 2 million sales mark. How's that? Well, we'll just have to wait until we can get some review code to tell you. But what we can tell you is that FFX is due for release sometime in June. Fingers crossed. But if you can't wait, you can get yourself a copy of the demo bundled with Final Fantasy VI, which is due for re-release on the PlayStation 1 on the 1st of March.
If you love games and you live in the UK, you've had it pretty good. We all remember the Atari VCS, the interesting Sega Saturn, and of course Sony's superb PlayStation. All great machines and all released over here.
What you probably didn't know is that there was a host of even more exciting, often better games machines that didn't see the light of day on British shores. And these are a few of our favorites. The time, 1987. The place, Japan. The console, the PC Engine. Despite going up against Nintendo and Sega, the PC Engine was made by unknowns in the video game world. NEC and quirky games publishers Hudson Soft. Being an 8-bit machine, it wasn't any more powerful than Sega or Nintendo's consoles, but it was incredibly fast and allowed for some amazing arcade-quality games. The PC Engine's piece de resistance was these little tiny cards. Now, nothing too special here, but here's the clever bit. You could take them out of here and put them into here, the PC GT, which had the same spec as the home console and a color screen. Imagine beautiful arcade-quality games in the palm of your hand nearly 10 years before the Game Boy Advance.
But as far as quirky and innovative machines went, it wasn't long before another was released in Japan, and this one proved to be a right headache for all those involved. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Virtual Boy.
This 32-bit piece of goggle hardware was released in 1995, and the games that came with it were pseudo 3D. This 3D effect was achieved by showing a different image for each eye that the brain then put together. Although brilliant, the problem with the Virtual Boy was that any significant time spent playing with the device could lead to a splitting migraine. The VB was designed by Uber Games designer Gunpei Yokoi. He'd been at Nintendo for 30 years and had already become a legend for inventing the Game & Watch series, the Game Boy, Metroid, and teaching Shigeru Miyamoto a thing or two.
But the hardware was a phenomenal failure. Kids under 7 could severely damage their eyes. Nintendo barely licensed any third-party title releases. It was expensive, and the marketing behind it was lousy. It flopped. Gunpei became the scapegoat and left in disgrace just 2 years after the first VBs were sold.
However, as with all great magicians, he had a trick up his sleeve, the Wonder Swan. The Wonder Swan swanned, that's a pun, onto Japanese shelves in 1999 and has since become the second best-selling portable after the Game Boy. The console is the smallest handheld on the market. It can run on one battery for up to 40 hours, and it has a flippable screen. Wow! And if that leaves you salivating, beware, there's also a color version.
Unfortunately, Gunpei was killed in a motoring accident in 1997, 2 years before he would have seen the release of his handheld. So, as a mark of respect, we here at Thumb Bandits are honouring the Wonder Swan. We think it's time it migrated west, don't you? But don't let that depress you. Here's Aleks with one great game that did make the trip across the pond.
As a general rule, I despise movie tie-ins. My least favorite titles are the pathetic attempts by games companies to cash in on the latest merchandising trend. Have you ever heard of integrity? How dare you inflict your inferior products on the changed purses of innocent children? Well, hold on to your lightsabers because the latest onslaught of Star Wars games is about to consume our consumerism. And the first show-off in the starting block is the GameCube's Rogue Leader. You start out this space shooter controlling Luke Skywalker and end up in charge of Wedge Antilles. While Luke's off hanging with Jabba, Wedge and his gang are getting work done. Everything starts out simple enough with an amazing introduction to the gameplay, but the learning curve is very high. Port of call number 1 is to destroy the Death Star in 3 easy steps. First, take out the gun towers. Then get your thumb in a twist trying to target the TIE fighters. And finally, navigate your way through a claustrophobic trench, battling against further TIEs and Vader himself. This three-pronged pattern is repeated across the remaining 10 stunning levels. I have never seen so much stuff on screen at once. Well, it is a beautiful game, but it ain't perfect. Command of your ship is tough. Not only does it move at the slightest twitch of a finger, but there are buttons to control everything. From braking, to boosting, to rolling, to your targeting computer, to switching from first to third person perspective and back again, to regular firing, to ion cannon firing, to command of your troops. Beautiful. Yes, this is a space shoot-'em-up that works more like a flight sim. Even the damn joystick is inverted, which means that if you push up, the little bastard on screen goes down. I understand that some people like that kind of thing. I do not, and would have appreciated an option therein. And even though the level design is absolutely fantastic, with interesting things to do and places to see, it's extremely irritating that if you happen to crash and burn just before you get to the very end of the last part of the level, you've got to do the whole damn three-part thing all over again. That sucks. Still, though they frustrate me, these little niggly things don't ruin Star Wars Rogue Leader. If anything, they hook me in, making me stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning, whittling away at the evil Empire's defenses until I crack them. The fact that your ship is actually affected by the gravity of passing space rocks, and that during one level, you've got to rope an AT-AT's legs so it falls over, makes it all worthwhile. Against all odds, LucasArts has actually redeemed themselves. Worth the price of admission.
If your idea of art is being stuck in a room with dodgy wiring, then you may find this look at the art of gaming enlightening. The Game Boy Advance may be this season's preferred handheld, but last year's top catwalk model was the Game Boy Color, proving he can still show his young protege a thing or two about style.
Lots of companies have desperately tried to associate themselves with fashion and art. In Japan, Nintendo have even released an embroidery cart that plugs into a special Game Boy sewing machine. It allows hardcore gamers to sew their own designs on their clothes. Cool, man. The Big N went even further when last summer it sponsored fashion designers to come up with clothes ideas inspired by the handheld. All very nice, but what are real artists doing with games?
Phantom Limb explores the hard-to-define territory between what is real and what is not. By using a series of cameras and projectors, it dislocates players' limbs from their own bodies, exchanging them with their challengers. Phantom Limb uses a mirror image of your opponent's moves to confuse your brain. More often than not, the winner is usually the fastest person to learn how to think backwards.
But when it comes to keeping art in touch with the street, look no further than Chris Evans.
This Christmas, Chris projected real-time gameplay of Pong onto the streets of Cardiff, which got some quite unexpected results. Initially projected outside a gallery for effect, Chris discovered that it instantly caught people's attention who wouldn't normally have noticed the exhibition and drew them in. But far from resting on his laurels, Chris is already on his way to completing his next piece, entitled We Will Destroy You. He's in the process of modifying an original 1979 Space Invaders machine that will then be set up in the corner of the chapter bar in Cardiff. Inside, he's hidden a secret camera that captures the contorted faces of players destroying the alien invaders. These images are then projected onto the wall of the pub in such a way that the gamers will appear to be trying to annihilate drinkers at the bar. Artists like these are utilising games and art to a great effect and in an entirely new way. The next time you see something like this, watch out. It just might be your turn for 15 minutes of fame.
Normally, we end the show by saying,
Thanks for watching. Check out our website at www.channel4.com/thumbandits.
This is then followed by some hilarious ad-libbing. But I have a feeling that some of you have just joined us. So for those stragglers out there,
Where the bloody hell have you been? The pub shut over an hour ago. We've been here for the last half an hour playing computer games. And frankly, I may not be bothered to turn up next week. I forgot the words and ran off. Please carry on. No, please.
And
Actually, no, I'm not interested.
hey, happy?
That was great. Thanks very much.
You fart monster.